Hey guys, it's Drac, and today we're doing another review on one of these Rebelle blasters. Now I'm a huge believer in the Rebelle shells because they paint up very nicely, and despite all of the sexist marketing, I think that they're really cool. Some of the off colors are neat, they hydro dip very well, and this one is a unique blaster. It's not a reshell of something else, it's not an in-strike variant that's been done up in this styling. So we're going to go ahead and get it out of the package, then we'll take a look at a couple more goings on in here. This is not my normal firing area, as I am still currently up in Ohio for some HVZ shenanigans. So this is the blaster. Handle is a little bit small. Looks like pull trigger back fully and let return. I wonder why they felt like those instructions were necessary. Foregrip up here is tiny. That's very disappointing, but I can't quite get my thumb into it. I understand that this was designed for this target demographic and not my size hands. Other than that, I really like the styling of the blaster. This is ratcheting through nicely. I think that it's very cool. Our jam door here lets us into here, and we can see that the flywheels are actually mounted sideways, which is cool because it means that the blaster has a completely symmetrical shell. It also looks like the batteries are going to fit here in the stock, which helps distribute some of the weight onto the back end, and in addition to that keeps things completely symmetrical. I really like the ergonomics of the blaster, other than it being very small. If you were a female nerfer, I wouldn't feel bad about using this at all. I think that this is a really cool blaster. Again, my pinky's rolling just a little bit. The trigger could be a little bit nicer. This is an abrupt change for something so thin to go from here to here, so you really want to tuck up and pull upwards, so like no coming in like this. I think that 20 darts is a reasonable amount for a barricade style blaster like this, so I almost want to call this the Barristorm, because the shell reminds me a lot of that very smooth styling and kind of profile that the Firestorm from the Vortex line has, whereas the functioning here is going to be a semi-automatic barricade style blasting with just a supersized drum here. I see a lot of people who are going to, or I guess I don't see it currently, but I think that in the future a lot of people will use this for Tommy 20 cosplays and replicas. So this is a Walmart exclusive in the States. Like I said, I had to come all the way to Ohio to find one. I don't know if they've made their way over to the coast yet on either side of the country. There are instructions down here. It's coming with 20 darts, 5 of which are the Rebelle spy messages, as well as a pen and a decoder. I don't care for this gimmick at all. I'm very interested in how the blaster performs, and I feel like that's how most nerfers are going to approach it. So we're claiming ranges of up to 75 feet. It is motorized, it is using flywheel technology. As I've said before, they are sideways, not top-bottom, but lateral. And then you can power up your spy mission to send darts blasting. So claiming a rate of fire, which is kind of interesting, 20 darts in 10 seconds. I believe that if you can really work a trigger. And then down here, we just thought that this was hilarious. Website not intended for Quebec residents under 13. So only if you're in Quebec can you not go to the nerfrebelle.com website. You're gonna need parental advice. Anywhere else, totally okay. But something about children in Quebec, they have very sensitive internet. If anybody can explain that to me, please do. I thought it was hilarious. I'm sure that there's some sort of legal reasoning for it. Going to go ahead and get all of our fun colored Rebelle darts out. A little bit tricky not using one of my knives, borrowed one of Lod's for this review. Sadly, they will not let you fly with those still. One pro to this as opposed to like a stryfe or a humans versus zombies style game is that you could constantly be topping off your drum. The Barricade, back when people were using those, was actually very well respected for constantly being able to reload without necessarily shifting away from a firing position, and a lot of people really enjoyed that facet of it. It's the reason that some people prefer the Revonics to the Vortex Blaster, the Pyragon, because there's a real advantage to always being able to reload loose ammunition out of, say, a dump pouch. Then, did I miss one? I did. Keeping me honest, Hasbro. Alright, so we're going to come in here. I have a miniature Phillips head screwdriver. think we've covered most of the features in this. That's fascinating. This door seems to be, or this screw seems to be slightly stripped already, and this is a factory new blaster. So I'm going to try and cut the clip here actually to undo this, but that's a quality control issue. I don't think that that's an issue with the platform itself. Just worth noting though that these initial runs sometimes have issues, and this screw is completely stripped. Okay, so really quick, something about the housing. This is full rev. Is actually very quiet. That makes me worry about the performance a little bit, but a very quiet flywheel platform could be very, very cool. The iron sight here lines up here, and it's kind of neat that it's got built-in optics like that, whether you subscribe to that or not. Looks like it would be compatible with virtually any kind of dart. There is a trigger lock built in. You cannot pull the trigger without first doing the flywheel. That's a good lock. If you listen here, there is in fact a jam door lock where when you open the jam door, the blaster automatically revs down. Those are all the locks that I can find so far. There's of course also a little dart flap in here which would be removable. This back end looks like it would be great for a certain size of LiPo if that's the way that you wanted to take it. So for the purpose of this firing demo now, I'm going to step back here. Vlad has an excellent archery range where he's measured off exactly that it's 60 feet or 20 meters to the target. Now that's the back end of the target block, and I'm going to aim for the front at first. Level shots, claiming ranges of up to 75. Very easy to shoulder. This is actually quite comfortable despite being small. I'll let it get to full rev. So those look to be about 50-foot shots flat, which is incredible for something like this. I'll go ahead and range a few. Rate of fire is good, and those are bouncing off the target board. I want to say that they're getting about 60, maybe not quite 70. Your mileage may vary. That's interesting. I got a little bit of a hang there in the trigger. Again, kind of an awkward trigger system. Not terrible, but not great. You just have to be very, very deliberate while actuating this mechanism. So overall styling of the blaster, very Rebelle, very fruity, tooty, kind of flowing floral patterns through it. Other than that, I think that this is a very neat blaster. I really like how Rebelle integrates their stocks, like the Firestorm. Grouping here is solid, definitely indicative of the performance that we were expecting, which is slightly less than Hasbro's range claims. Although, in the spirit of fair play, this is probably a 65-foot shot up here, so there are outliers. That is my review of the Nerf Rebelle Fearless Fire. I want to call it the Rebellicade, but I don't know if that will catch on. It's a fun blaster. I'd look forward to doing a mod guide on one of these in the future, but I am leaving this one in Ohio as it's not quite worth it to ship down to Atlanta for me. So as always, guys, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think of this. I'm really excited to see Rebelle kind of stepping out on its own and making unique blasters that aren't necessarily Katniss Everdeen bows, and I think that this one's cool. It's a humans versus zombies practical HVZ or Rebelle blaster, and I think that that's very, very neat and a step in the right direction for the brand overall.